So Bill Browder joins us, anti-corruption campaigner, head of the global Magnitsky Justice Campaign. Thanks for coming on the programme, Sir Bill. Your reaction to this sentence and the remarks of the judge?
I think the sentence is too short. I mean, what this individual did is truly, I think it goes well beyond bribery. He was working for an enemy, a country that is an enemy to the United Kingdom. Russia is an enemy, selling our national interests to an enemy, and that goes well beyond bribery, in my opinion, and the sentence should have been much longer. We need to make an example out of these people because he's not the only one. This is the tip of an iceberg. I suspect there's many others who have not yet been caught who are doing the same thing, and all these people should feel the fear of God in them, and I don't think a 10-year sentence is long enough.
Do you suspect that there are many others, as you put it, in the world of British politics who might have links in this kind of fashion?
I don't just suspect, I know. And many of them have already come to light. I don't want to put LBC at risk of libel, but I could name a lot of names. And in fact, I was involved in giving evidence at the Foreign Affairs Committee did an investigation into foreign influence, Russian influence in the political process, and there are many names that were redacted from that report. That report, in fact, was held back at the time by Boris Johnson, who didn't want it to see the light of day. It took many months for that report to come out. There is a long list of politicians who have taken money from Russia and from other adversaries and sold our interests down the river. And the fact that we sit here and okay, he gets a 10-year sentence, that's good. Should have been longer, and there should be other people who are rounded up for the same thing.
Would you class that form of bribery or that form of interference as also involving appearances by various politicians on state-backed media channels, state-owned media channels, propaganda channels, basically?
Well, I think that there's a slight difference. I mean, so if Russia is paying him as a member of the European Parliament to make statements that are pro-Russia, that is different. To appear on a news channel, I think that there's plausible deniability. I mean, it's distasteful for someone to go onto a Russian or Iranian television station, but it's not treasonous as it would be for somebody who to knowingly take money and then tell the Russians' position in a political debate. That's a different level of depravity in my mind.
You heard the police there in the clip from our reporter talking about the investigation continuing. Where do you want that investigation to go next, particularly in the world of politics?
Well, what I would have hoped would have happened with this particular individual is that the length of his sentence would be determined on how much he cooperated on naming other names. That's usually how these things go. I don't know whether that happened or not, but what I can say is that the Russians have been all over the British political process. They were all over Brexit. They were all over various other campaigns. And we need to know who they were all over, who got the money, what those people did, and make sure those people are punished so that going forward, when we're in an even more deadly situation with the Russians, we don't run this risk.
Labour say they want to probe into links between Russia and reform. Do you?
Well, I think that Labour should probe links between Russia and all political parties. I think that obviously this individual was from Reform. I could, and again, I won't do it on LBC for fear of you being sued for libel, but I could name members of the Conservative Party, members of the Labour Party who have accepted money from Russia, and I have got the receipts.
So, and when you say tip of the iceberg, this iceberg then is pretty big and pretty devastating.
Yeah, people are unbelievable how cheap they are to sell their soul and to sell their political integrity for a few tens of thousands of pounds. It's pretty remarkable, actually.
Whilst I have you on the line, can I take you to Fox News Radio and comments from the President of the United States, who's been talking about the US peace plan for Ukraine, so-called. He's put a deadline of next Thursday on Ukraine accepting the 28-point plan. Donald Trump saying, I've had a lot of deadlines, but if things are working well, you tend to extend the deadlines, but Thursday is, we think, an appropriate time. Do you believe Zelensky should accept?
I don't think. Are you going to play the clip? Or?
No. Sorry, I'm quoting from what Donald Trump has told Fox News Radio.
Absolutely no. There's nothing to accept here. Donald Trump. This 28-point plan was drafted in the Kremlin. In fact, some of the language is even Russian syntax language. I don't know where Trump came up with this crazy idea. It's totally unacceptable for the Ukrainians to accept it. It's totally unacceptable for the UK, for the Europeans, that the Ukrainians would be forced to do this. It won't happen. The Thursday deadline is a ridiculous deadline. And where is Putin's deadline? And so this is a capitulation plan for Ukraine. All sorts of pressure being put on Ukraine. Where is Putin's deadline? What is Putin supposed to give up? I don't see. I read it carefully. There's no concessions that Putin has to make, and there's no deadline that Putin has to live up to. And so I think it's not going to happen. And of course, there's the famous taco. Trump always chickens out. I'm sure that there will be lots of pressure from the other side between now and next Thursday. And so I would hope that this doesn't lead to this international geopolitical crisis that everyone's worrying about today, and it probably won't. But what I can predict with 100% certainty is that Ukraine is not going to surrender based on this ridiculous 28-point plan.
Really appreciate your time, Sir Bill. Sir Bill Browder, anti-corruption campaigner and head of the Global Magnitsky Justice Campaign. What does this do to your political antennae? Does it start to wobble a bit when you hear in this case, the former leader of Reform UK in Wales, jailed for 10.5 years for accepting cash, thousands and thousands of pounds over a relatively long period of time, to influence the European Parliament to make speeches on behalf of effectively the Russian state? 10.5 years. Is that long enough? And does it make you think about political parties, as Sir Bill suggested, of different colours, but in this case, reform? Does reform, bearing in mind Nigel Farage has said that the politician he admires most was Vladimir Putin, and he said that for a number of reasons, but does that make you think again about reform? Does reform have a Russia problem?